Okay, so at the beginning of the Q&A today, we went over the answers for this little quiz, and number one was 210, number two was 24, number three was 10,000, and you can see on the screen how I got those. Number four, it is really rough. I decided to just write out what the answer would have been, and the reason that that bottom part is there is because if you had a number that was bigger than a 5 at the beginning, like a 6, 7, 8, or a 9, there'd be 4 choices for that. Then it wouldn't matter what digits came after that. So we had to do what everybody kind of expected the answer was, which was 5 times 1 times 10, 10, 10, 10. But we also had to add on, or you could have started with a 6 and had no requirements for anyway. Bottom line, I would not have given you one as hard as number 4. All right, moving on. Number 5, that one, I personally probably would have written 3 choose 1 on the top of that one, and 5 choose 1, and 2 choose 1. But the kid that was doing it was smart enough to know that that's just 3 times 5 times 2. So when you divide it out, you get 0.25. On number 6, the area of the triangle, a lot of people mess up and think it's 16, but you divide that by 2, so it's 8 out of 64 is 0.125. And number 7, it was, let's see, 0.20, because I showed my work there. It ends up being 2 out of 10 after you cancel everything. And number 8, there's 36 ways you can make that burrito, and then the probability would be about a 3% probability, 0.02777. If you write it in scientific notation, it looks like 2.7777 times 10 to the negative 2. All right, so that's enough for that little practice quiz. And now I'm going to talk to you about binomial. Okay, so this is the new lesson for this time. Binomial is a it's a one of the formulas that you're going to use. It's got the word bi in it, or the prefix bi, and I hope you know that that means 2. And one of the reasons I use free throws as an example is it's pretty simple. If you shoot a free throw, you either make it or you miss it. It's 2 different outcomes. This formula I'm about to teach you is super powerful, but it only works in situations where there's 2 possible outcomes. Okay? So like if this is the color of kittens that you have in your litter, and we had a cattery for a little while, and sometimes you could have, there was actually 3 different colors of cat that you could get. This won't work. This formula would not predict the probability of getting certain colors of cats because there's more than 2. So binomial only works when there's 2 things. So here's a typical scenario. This kid's shooting free throws. Let's say that she is a 90% free throw shooter. Okay, so 90%. You want to take notes on this. If she makes it 90% of the time, then the question would be, if she gets 10 free throws at the end of the game, because they keep on fouling her, and if you know about basketball, you know that at the very end of the game, if it's really close, a lot of times they'll just keep fouling people to stop the clock, and then you get to shoot free throws. Well, if she gets 10 free throws at the end of the game, what's the probability she would make 9 out of 10? Now, you would think is a 100% chance she's going to make 9 out of 10. But that's not how the real world works. If she gets 10 free throws at the end of the game and she's a 90% shooter, there's a chance she's going to make 10 out of 10. And there's also a pretty good chance she's going to make 8 out of 10. And then there's a really kind of pretty small chance, but there's a chance she's going to make 7 out of 10 or 6 or 5 or 4. It's even possible for somebody to totally choke and get 0 out of 10. All right, so you would think that the probability of her getting 9 out of 10 shots would be 100%, but it's not. So here is the little formula that you use. I'm going to give you an example one, which I think is one of the best ways to learn it. So if she's going to take 10 shots and she is going to be making 9 out of the 10 shots, then that's 10C9. Okay. So that's her choosing to make 9 out of the 10 shots. That's what we're choosing to investigate. Of course, she'd probably want 10 out of 10. Then after it, you put the two probabilities of the things that could happen. There's always going to add up to 1.0. 90% chance of a make, and there is 10% chance of a miss. And then I'll put these last two numbers in red. Then this one is always going to match up with this one. And that's saying we made 9 of them. 9 in the make category. So we put that to the power of 9. And then if there was 9 makes, think about it logically. The last number just has to be logical. How many misses would there have to have been? Say it if you know it.
1.
Yep, just 1. All right, good. So then there's my formula for figuring out the probability that this kid will actually make 9 out of 10 free throws if she's normally a 90% free throw shooter. Okay, so let's see if you can put that in your calculator. So everybody grab your calculator and type in 10C9 and then times 0.9 to the 1 times 0.1 to the power of 1. If you round to 3 decimal places, let's see what you got. Continue down in the group. I'm going to use abbreviations for your names just so your full name isn't on the video. RV, can you tell me what percent you got for this? That's an abbreviation, first initial, last initial, RV. Oh, okay. Mic issue. Gonna move on to EW. Can you tell me?
38.7%.
All right, 0.387. Okay, isn't that like really unusual? Think about that for a second. You know, if this person's a 90% free throw shooter, I would have thought for sure that there'd be a 100% chance she would make 9 out of 10. But there's only about a 40% chance she's going to make 9 out of 10 shots. Why? Well, because there's a pretty good chance she's going to make 10 out of 10 shots. Would you rewrite that formula for her making 10 out of 10 shots and find out the probability of that? All right. There's 2 MWs in my class, but one of them's a male, which I've already talked to, and one of them's a female, which I haven't. So can you tell me, female MW, how do you start this formula if we're trying to investigate the probability of her making 10 out of 10?
Start out 10C10.
And there you go. And then there's 2 sets of parentheses. Recycling up to Adele.
The first parenthesis, wouldn't it be 1.0 to the power of 10?
All right. The first parenthesis is the 0.9, and the second one is the 0.1. Just to clarify, those are the two chances that this person has of making or missing. And so then, given that, let's go with EB, male person in the class. What goes in these power spots under make and miss?
To the 1 and to the 1.
So you're only going to make one and miss one? That doesn't make sense. Let's go with Silas. How many are you going to make?
Isn't it 10 and 1?
There you go. You're going to make 10 and miss 1. Wait a minute. No, that would make 11.
Zero.
There we go. Okay. Make 10, miss 0. That's it. Now, even if you had trouble setting it up, let's talk about how it got set up. Notice the 0.9 and the 0.1 are going to always be there, because we know from like going into this problem her past history of making shots. Okay, and then this was the exact situation we were trying to investigate. That's new. She's got 10 shots to make at the end of the game, and we want to see the probability she will make all 10. Remember, I'm going to circle them in red again. These two numbers are always going to match up with each other. Okay, and so that 10 and that 10 had to go together. And these two numbers that I'm going to circle in green will have to add up to how many total shots she had. And since this one's already got 10, this one would have to have 0. Now, some of you might think, when it's a power of 0, isn't that going to cancel everything? No, power of 0 just means you're timesing by 1, so you don't really have to do the last part. And this one's pretty simple, because 10C10 really is trying to say how many ways can you make 10 shots out of 10 shots. There's only one way to do it. They all have to be makes. So it's 1 times 0.9 to the 10th power. So really, all you'd have to type in on this one would be 0.9 to the power of 10. And you should have got 0.34, I'm going to round it, 0.349. So the reason that this probability was so low, 387, was because there was also a really high probability she would make 10 out of 10 of her shots. And together, they all would have to add up to 100%. All right. So what else could happen? She could make 9. She could make 10. Couldn't she also make 8? Yeah, and there's a pretty high probability she'll make 8 out of the 10 shots. And then as you keep going down, obviously, if she's a really good free throw shooter, like 90%, it's really not likely at all she's going to only make 1 or 2. So those almost round to 0. All right. Let's see if you've been processing this. I'm going to give you one last one as a practice, and then I get this is not easy. That's one of the reasons I wanted to divide it up into 2 days. So you'll have a full lesson on this again later. But here's the last one. So let's say that, let's change sports. Let's go to hockey. Let's say that a person is getting a slap shot at the end of the game. If they only have one, this is pretty simple. If they typically make about half the shots that they shoot, well, then they're probably going to have a 50% chance of making the shot. But it gets much more complicated if you say he makes about half. I'm going to say, though, it's 55% that he makes when he shoots. And he makes 55% of his slap shots. Then, if he gets 3 slap shots, what's the probability that he will make 2? Okay, here's how you set them up. You always have a C in front, something, C something. And then you always have 2 parentheses, and those are your probabilities. They'll always have to add to 100%. Mr. CJ, what do you think on this C thing in the front? What C what?
3C2.
3C2. That's going to take 3 shots, and we're investigating making 2 of them. Okay, good. NM, can you tell me what has to go in these 2 parentheses here?
0.55 and 0.45.
You are correct. Nice job. And now let's go with PL, a male person with initials PL. What do you say for our powers?
2 for 0.55.
Power of 2, good.
1 for 0.45.
And a 1 for the 0.45. Yep. So then, everybody put that in your calculator. I'm going to call on a couple people to tell me what that probability is. Mr. A.B., can you tell me what your calculator gave you?
I'm still
all right, thanks for being honest. So I'm going to come back to you. I'll have you verify what the other person says. Let's go with MC. This is a girl, initials MC. Can you tell me what you got when you typed it in?
For the first one, I got 0.3025.
3025. Double checking with Mr. AB, is that the same exact decimal you got? Be honest, if it's not, you got to tell us.
I did not. I didn't get that.
Okay, what did you get?
I got 0.408.
All right, now I need a tiebreaker. Put your mic on if you got the 0.408. All right, lots of mics going on, so I think this is the right one. And I don't know exactly, you can put your mics back off again, what you typed in wrong to get the 3025, but this one is 3C2. You'd use the Math PRB button to find the little NCR thing. And then this part, you don't have to put it to the power of 1, of course, because 0.45 to the power of 1 is still 0.45. So save a step. All right.
Wait, Mr. Server?
Yes. Yes.
0.3025 is the 0.55 squared.
So okay.
That
so
made a difference.
I get it. So somebody was just doing part of it. So thank you. So they didn't know you're supposed to put in that, times that, and you get the 0.408. Okay. So there's our lesson for the day is called binomial probability. Now, it does get more intense than that, and so I just wanted to get you used to using that formula. So all I want you to do on your worksheet, which is in the folder for like the next time we meet, but do the first problem, problem number 1. That's it. All you got to do is problem 1. Okay? You can always check the key to make sure you're doing it right, but just do problem 1. Smallest homework assignment I've given you all of Corona time. So, all right. So again, this is in the folder called Binomial, which is technically, I pushed us back a little bit. I slowed us down a notch because I wanted to take a practice quiz. You should drop that in the Dropbox. There is a Dropbox for that practice quiz that we did. And then just start your homework. Don't even need to Dropbox it. Just get it started, and then it'll make your life a little easier when you hit this. I call this pre-teaching, when you actually take real binomial next time we meet. Any other last questions before you head out?
Zico told me that he sent you a Schoology message.
Okay, I'll talk to him later. Thank you very much.
All right, yep.
All right. Have a wonderful day. Stick around if you want to ask for more help.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.